Hi, Sarah Maria.
Hi.
Thank you for connecting with me today.
I'm so happy
All
to.
right, I have a couple of questions for you in
All right.
preparation for our conference coming up.
Mm-hmm.
So, Sarah Maria, I want you to tell me, what does allyship mean to you in both your personal and your professional life?
So I remember a couple years ago, I was talking to a student who was trying to find their place in college and understand what that meant. And I remember talking to her, I'm like, whatever you are in your future career, you can always be an ally. And I think she saw that almost in a really limited way because she's
Mm.
like, I'm already an ally. I think she thought of it just in terms of her relationship to certain identity groups or how we support people. I don't remember that this was around maybe the time when George Floyd was shot. But then I remember thinking afterward, and I carry that with me because I think allyship is more than just recognizing groups of people for who they are, but instead imagining that you're interacting with people based on what we appreciate or are challenged by or are seeking to understand in one another. And then, like, in cultivating those relationships, you're doing the kind of work of allyship and supporting each other, because part of allyship still requires you to be challenged so your perspective can change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Question number two. Can you share a memorable moment when you stood by a colleague or a sister in need? What impact did it have?
I'm going to reframe that question just a little bit, and talk about three particular students who arrived at the university, three women, Antea, Mia, and Denise, who all were in my life around the same time. And I'm still
Mm.
in touch with them. But I think one thing I noticed when they came in, I don't know that they necessarily needed this, but I know it had impact, is that I made sure to notice things and call attention to ways in which they were successful that may not have been otherwise amplified in their school experiences, and really tried to encourage them to build on and cultivate those traits. And I think it's impactful in that I have really strong relationships with them all still, and I'm really proud of them. They've done such
Mm.
good work in the world, and lots of people know them at the university. And I'm
Yes.
not saying that I am the one who, but I think that when I think about that question and the significant, what is need, and often it's not necessarily what people need, but they're also seeking. And I think everybody likes to be noticed. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. How can women support one another to create inclusive and empowering workplaces?
While I appreciate and sometimes love working with my male colleagues, I was thinking about this in preparation for this interview in terms of the people that are my go to people, like you, Nancy. And when I think about what you cultivate in the workplace, I don't necessarily want to attribute it to gender, but I do think there's something particular about having a kind of affinity and understanding. I mean,
Mhm.
you're part of a sorority, right? Isn't that like one of the, like, what is it that we understand in relationship to how we've both perform in the world, but have been, um, the expectations for how we perform provides a kind of framework for thinking about how women in the workplace. So my go-to people tend to be ones that other women that I want to celebrate and appreciate for how they work and how they perform and engage in the world.
Nice.
Oh, thanks.
Nice. What excites you most about the upcoming Women on the Move Standing by My Sister conference?
Well, what excites me is that you and Caress and your colleagues have put this together and brought it to the university. So, congratulations.
Thank
In
you.
allyship, I celebrate you.
Thank you.
That's exciting. And then I also think it's exciting to have a frame of reference where that conversation, it gets to be set set aside and put in a place and given a context where that can be the focus, and thinking about cultivating these relationships like we're talking about, but then also understanding the complications and challenges, but also ways in which women grow and we can celebrate them in the workplace. um, and I'm really interested, I'm curious about that term sister and sisterhood, and
Mm,
what that means. So that's something I'm going to be looking forward to experiencing, is learning more about that aspect.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Well, how do you personally ensure that allyship is part of your daily leadership style?
I like to, and I know it can seem trite probably sometimes, but I really like to compliment people. And when I say compliment people, is find ways to get to know how they live their everyday lives, and try to understand and imagine those interactions, and either learn more about them or help them celebrate them, or if they're asking for um, help or interventions or imagining a different situation, what my participation in that could be, imagining that space is significant and important to me. Mhm.
Awesome. I think that concludes it.